We just had a catastrophic event here. It was devastating, unbelievable. And of course, I'll talk about that, but I wanted to talk about a situation we had recently here and what we did to get through it. So we had a power outage. Now, of course, you know that we live off grid, but this was a terrible event that happened here. And I've been watching YouTube videos on how to deal with things like this, and I watched one that said 10 steps when your power goes out. Step 1, get your flashlight. It's gonna be hard to believe, but it's gonna be dark. So I thought I'd go through my own list of items. I don't know how many items there are gonna be, but we had a serious power outage and it caused a serious problem for us. Now, so I got up about 5 o'clock. My phone went off, just like it does every morning. And so I got up. Skitty meowed at the door. Summertime for her, so she's not spending a lot of time indoors. So she's even skipping breakfast for a couple hours. She goes out and plays while it's still dark, and then comes in right at daybreak to eat, and then goes back outside. I grabbed the coffee pot. I always make coffee. I prepare the coffee pot, it's a percolator, the night before, and then I take it out to the Coleman stove and percolate it as I'm heading down to let the chickens out of their coop. Now it's still dark, so I got to have a little flashlight, and I don't really need a flashlight, especially this time of the year. It's kind of daybreak. I'm not going to trip over anything, but I'm worried about snakes, so I have a flashlight for snakes. But in the wintertime, I don't even grab the flashlight. I just come on down here. And then I go into the shed and I check the voltage on the batteries just to make sure nothing goofy happened. And then I go back up there and I sit down and I actually play a computer game for a little while until Carolyn gets up. Well, maybe not even that long. So what are we at? Step 4? Step 5? I don't know where we're at. I got to be careful with the coffee. You only want the coffee to percolate for about 20 minutes, otherwise it boils off. It gets too strong. But now I'm in such a routine now that I don't even set the alarm, the timer. I know that by 5:30 the coffee's done, because I don't get it out there until about 5:10. And then I drink a cup of coffee and still playing my game. And at this time I start thinking about what I need to do for the day. Thinking about making a YouTube video. That's the biggest part of my day, is I got to make a YouTube video. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the power outage. And then at 9 o'clock, I start checking the weather. I might even do that a little early sometimes. Whatever it is, I always check the weather because I want to know if it's going to be cloudy. Cloudy determines how I'm going to handle things. If it's too cloudy and it's going to be cloudy all day, then I skip filling the water. But I try to fill the water every day, the water tank. So the water tank, I don't know, usually takes about 10 gallons to fill. I try to make sure that I don't run the well pump anymore in about 10 minutes, especially if it's going to be a cloudy day. So I check to see if it's going to be really cloudy. About 9:30, I come on down here. That's when the sun starts to peek over the trees and shine on the solar panels, so I can fill the water. And then I go back inside, cool off. Now, if it's really hot, which Carolyn and I are pretty well adjusted to the hot conditions nowadays. So if it's really hot, we could start the air conditioner on a sunny day, or we could start the generator. I mean, we always got gas here. I always try to keep 5 gallons of gas here at all times. So when one's empty, I go fill the other one up. I have 2 gas jugs. If it gets real hot, I'll start the generator. We could run the air conditioner on a cloudy day, or we can run the air conditioner on a sunny day with just off solar panels without any issues. I don't know. We don't do much after that. I edit my video, but again, that's not really important to the power outage situation. About 3 o'clock, my video releases. Again, not that important. About 4 o'clock, Carolyn and I sit down and watch Netflix or Prime TV, whatever it is. I think it's Amazon Prime. And we do that for about 2, here recently we've been doing it for 3 hours. And then when that's done, I get back up, put my shoes on, come down and put the chickens away. I get them fed. Again, I check the solar panels, well, the batteries, I should say. Make sure there's a good charge before we go into the night, because I want to make sure that freezer runs continuously and we don't strain the batteries too bad. I told you about that in a previous video. If they're okay, I close up the shed so in case it rains that night, no rain gets into the shed. Put the chickens away, get them fed, come back up, and I kind of wrap up my night. About 9:30, I go to bed. In the wintertime, I go to bed a little bit earlier. I don't know why. In wintertime, I go to bed about 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock. I always have, don't know why. You do it over again the next day. And then what happens is 2 days later, I find out through a community post that down the road is a town. It's not even a town, it's unincorporated. It was voted unincorporated years ago. So it's just a community now. And they have a Facebook group. And about 2 days later, I don't check it every day, but I checked it about every 2 or 3 days. I find out that the day that I just described, in which I did all my normal routine, that the power was out for several hours. And there was actually some heat related issues. People were getting overheated and people were losing their food. So we had a storm come through. It was a brief storm. I mean, it didn't even bother me. I went to bed, like I said, at 9:30. I think it hit at 10 o'clock that night. And to me, it was just a lot of rain. And what I did to prepare for it was I checked my well, because I don't like my well getting dirty. If it's a flooding rain, that rain can go down into the well and get it dirty for about 3 days. Well, I didn't want that to happen, so I cleaned the leaves out of this little trench that I've made to kind of catch that water and redirect it. But I don't even know if you want to call that a power outage. That's more of a water issue than a power outage. So I found out about it, and I thought, wow, I didn't even know we had a power outage. I bring this up because I struggle with the prepper channels, and I know my trolls hate me for it. They think that I should just absorb every piece of information they got. But when you're living off grid, I don't even know how to explain this so people understand it, especially the trolls. You're not affected by any of this. You don't even know it happened. We didn't go to town, so it wasn't like the gas station would have given us any evidence that the power was out. There was just no reason for us to believe it was out. We didn't lose internet. So they lost power apparently all night long, and it did get pretty hot that evening. I remember I was thinking it was going to cool off, as a matter of fact. So I shut my window because the rain was going to blow in. I shut my window on from the north side of the house and the south side. Always shut the south side, that's just the door. And Skitty, the cat, she can open the screen door. She knows how to open the screen door, so we had to shut the main door so she didn't get out. Well, when the north window is closed, you don't get any of that breeze. So I figured it was going to be pretty cool that evening. Otherwise, I'd have gotten back up in the middle of the night and opened that window. So all we had was the west side window open with a fan, and it got kind of warm that night. I mean, I remember getting up and thinking, man, this is hot, so I opened that window back up. But I was worried it was going to rain again, so I didn't open it that much. But it wasn't that big of a storm. It wasn't that significant. It was a lot of rain, but I don't even think there was any wind. Maybe a little. I know that the rain kind of went over, or it's hard to explain, but at the chimney, there's a gap where chimney for a wood stove is. There's a little gap. When the wind's blowing really hard, it can go up into this gap. It has to literally go uphill and down the chimney into the attic box, which is metal. Nothing is harmed by that. The attic box gets a little water in, the water drips down on the wood stove. I mean, it's not a big deal, and it rarely happens. So I guess there was a little bit of wind, but boy, I tell you, it sure wasn't noticeable. It just wasn't that big of an event. We didn't get any warnings, like tornado warnings, hail warnings. Got up the next morning, the solar panels were all upright, everything was fine. Didn't even notice. Here's the thing I find about preppers, is they talk about how prepared they are. What I learned today when I was watching this video is they don't understand the basics on how things operate. So they have to be overly prepared compensate for what they don't know. I'm not an expert on everything. I'm not an expert on how to rebuild a full-size house or any of that. I mean, I've done a lot. I built our little tiny house, and I'm not a master electrician or anything like that. But I am an expert on everything that happens around here. For example, chickens. Carolyn and I both raised chickens in the past, and I'm not saying we weren't experts when we got these chickens. We had a lot of problems, actually. Well, the very next year, we decided we were going to get pigs. And we talked about it and thought, you know what? No. Let's just be experts in chickens. That way, we always have a food source. Now, people will say, well, what if all your chickens die? You won't have anything. Well, we will have something. We have enough eggs at all times that we could start incubating new eggs. And we got enough food that would last us until the new chickens started producing eggs. So we have a pretty solid plan. I mean, I didn't explain it in detail, but we've lost chickens, but we're at a point now where we could consider ourselves experts maybe. And at the last time we lost chickens, it wasn't that devastating. We lost 9, which is pretty big deal, but we're still been getting a dozen eggs every day. Well, we were smart enough to keep our chickens separated. We learned our lesson on why we lost them from the dog attack. Made sure that wouldn't happen again. So when the dog did attack, he was only able to attack one group of chickens, not the other one. But if you are trying to live a regular life, a normal life, a life of debt, a life of having to go work for an employer every day, you cannot maintain that lifestyle. And that's what these preppers are trying to do. They're trying to maintain their lifestyle in a bad situation. What it is, and please forgive me for being so sexist, I don't mean to be, but I know what it was. I was a prepper once, and I was homeschooling our daughter, so she always had to have a computer, and my wife was, kind of spoiled, my ex-wife. So I wanted to live minimalistically like I do now, like Carolyn and I do now. But she didn't. So I was trying to combine what she wanted in life and what I wanted in life. So I wanted to, get solar panels. But I had to have enough electricity for her toys. I mean, she liked playing guitars. And of course, my daughter, like I said, had to have a computer. So we had to have enough electricity to be able to do that. We also were always broke, always in debt, which always caused a strain. We were not able to establish a life that we both wanted. We didn't have enough money to do it. She wanted to play her guitars and I wanted to be on solar panels. There just wasn't enough money. So I had to make sacrifices. And I never got to be an expert on any one system because I was always trying to compromise. But now I'm an expert. And I don't have to sit here and worry about, is Carolyn going to say, oh no, we can't do that. I want a bigger house. I need air conditioning. I don't have to worry about Carolyn saying that. She just doesn't. I would say to these preppers, stop prepping and actually live the life. If you want to live SHTF, stop being scared of it and just live it. To me, it has been so rewarding to shut everything down and live for what I can provide myself. So if you click this up next box here, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about people's lives are costing us thousands of dollars. So if I can inspire you to not worry about the electric going out, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.